All right, well, welcome to another episode of After Hours with Sahara. So this time, if you remember our past episode, we had a financial advisor on the show. So this time we're gonna have a fitness advocate on the show, and she's very young, she's fierce, and she's very unapologetic. Now, when you hear the word fitness, I'm sure it's one of those things that, Sarah, fitness. We were going to talk about that. Well, anyway, religion, politics, health, and fitness. Fitness is actually one of those things that people would try to avoid talking about. But this time, we have a fitness advocate on the show who's going to be talking about it maybe in a different perspective. So let's welcome on the show, we got Bea, our fitness advocate. Papa team. All right, so let's dive into our first question. Bea, what made you fall in love with fitness?
I fell in love with fitness starting during the pandemic. I think it's where everyone's fitness journey started because we were in our houses and we were bored. We weren't exposed to any physical activity and we were gaining weight. So one day I was having this corrupted intention, of course, to work out because I wanted to be thinner. And then I wanted to abide to all these societal norms of how your body should look like. So I got into running first, and then I supplemented that with a little bit of home workouts. I'm sure all the pandemic girlies, all the workout girlies, they started with Chloe Ting, Pamela Reef. I don't know if you're familiar with those YouTube influencers, but we started there. I started there, definitely. And after 1 year of doing home workouts, I was craving for more of a challenge because that's just a personality trait of mine. I keep looking for something better. I keep chasing for more progress and more improvement, for more growth. And so 1 year after a consistent workout at home, I decided to enroll in a gym. It was a local gym in our near our area. It was a Bakal gym. So I enrolled there, and from there, I started falling in love with fitness.
All right. And for some of the viewers, Bea, and also the listener of the podcast, they might not be familiar with the term bakal gym. Well, which is where we usually all would start because it's the cheapest form of gym if you really want to start. So I mean, it's cheap, but of course it has its risks. Though I might get canceled for this. Medyo, my experience with the bakal gym, I mean, some are very much well-maintained. But siguro my experience lang din with the bakal gym is, I mean, rusty equipment. And then basically it's a very small space. But what I like about it is basically the brotherhood that goes with it. Kasi talagang since the space is small, you get to like really share the equipment with them. Like ano talaga, they get to understand each other.
You get to network as well.
Yes, exactly. So nothing wrong with Baja gyms. Again, we all started there. I started there in a way.
Yeah.
It was cheap, but it was also medyo makabili lang siguro ako. But then again, your experience with the Baja gym, Bea?
My Bakal gym was actually kind of mixed. So it wasn't like all Bakal gym. So we also have commercial equipments. Commercial equipments are yung mga modern na. So there are weights, and then you don't need to load it up with weights. So it's with free weights. You don't need to do that. You can just adjust the weights using like a rack of weights and a pin. So they also have that. So I didn't really get to experience like the Bakal gym that's typical, that small rusty equipment, but I heard it's great. Like you've said, there's more opportunity to network there, and the brotherhood is amazing, but I didn't get to experience that. But basically the difference between like the commercial gym and a Bakal gym is that, of course, they're using steel plates, steel weights, and you get to load the equipments with those weights. So therefore there's a risk of injury because they're not that stable compared to commercial equipments where you just adjust using a pin and then adjust the weight according to your liking.
So anyway, let's get to know. So basically, that's an introduction to Bea's life as a fitness advocate, like how she fell in love with it, and basically her experience with her first gym. Now, did you know that? Aside from a fitness advocate, Bea is actually a graduating student. So let's get to know Bea more. Tell us, Bea, about the Bea outside the fitness advocacy, or ano na, Bea, the regular person.
All right. So ever since I was young, I feel like that's a very common introductory for who I am. But ever since I was young, I was always told that I would be a great teacher. My mom is a teacher. My sister is a teacher. We're a family of teachers, basically. And the first type of like sign that they thought I would be a great teacher, that they saw like this vocation for me, is when I was in the first grade. After I would go home from school, what I would do is basically reteach what I learned from the school, and I would behave the way a teacher would, like I would scold, yes. Strict tama, saba, ganyan. Tapos I have a stick, ganyan, ganyan. They keep telling me that story because from there, they kind of knew, they had like a vision that this girl is going to be a great teacher. And if not that, she's going to be a public speaker, somewhere in that sense. So they knew that from a very young age, baga na jukog now. It's, yes. So they would testify, it's from a very young age that they knew that this girl didn't have a shy bone in her body. And so when I was in high school, I kind of got into a crisis. I wanted to be a lawyer when all this time I wanted to be a teacher. But that was just 1 year. So eventually, when I got into the enrollment for the university, I wanted to be an English teacher. But there was a lack of school. I didn't get inside the
Like a requirement?
no, it was just full.
Oh, so there's no slots left.
Yes, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. The slot. There's no more slot for a student for the Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English.
Because there's a lot, I think, would want to become an
Yeah.
teacher.
It's a pretty
common one.
Yep. I'm studying in this state university. I'm a scholar ng bayan, so the people's taxes are paying for my tuition fee, and I'm working hard for that to pay off well. And eventually, they had an opening slot for Bachelor of Special Needs Education, and that's where I enrolled. So ever since, I've been exposed to learners with hearing impairment. We have 13 deaf classmates. And from then, we've learned sign language. And maybe like on second year college, I then had another identity crisis, which why I got into being a fitness coach.
Now, regarding the special teaching for special, how do you call it again? I'm sorry.
Teaching learners with special educational needs.
Special education. So regarding that, is it something that you are, I mean, aside from not having an option, I'm sure you had it in your heart that, you know what, if I can't get to, can't get my English major, like was it your second choice? Let's just say.
It wasn't on my radar, to be honest. I didn't think that I would be a great teacher for learners with special educational needs. I felt like my patients didn't feel the requirement there. But like looking back, I felt like I've had encounters with learners with special educational needs, and I interacted with them quite well. And I thought everything just fell onto place. Everything was a kind of like a cosmic play, and it was really for me to be there. Imagine there was no slots available in any of the education courses, but there was one slot available for that specific course. So I was really thinking it must be a cosmic flare or something, but I loved every minute. As I got into it, I loved every minute of it. The more I got to know learners with special educational needs, especially being classmates with them, I fell in love with the field. And I'm looking forward, of course, in the future to working in that field.
And what do you think are the things that people need to know about people with special needs based on your interactions with them?
They're very similar to ours. There's really no difference. Like aside from there is a sort of impairment, and there are abilities that they cannot do as well as we can, but they're very similar. Like they gossip too, which is very interesting. They have issues as well, and it's really fun to be with them. And they're a little bit they're a little bit green-minded as well. So they're really just similar to us. And as long as you're open into interacting with them without mocking them in any way, you would see that there's really no big difference.
Are there any things that we should avoid? Let's just say, for example, because you mentioned mocking, because we might be doing certain things with our, when we do things or when we say things, that is a form of mocking that you usually see like people do.
They definitely do like the fake sign language, which of course we do not appreciate. I feel like if you want to learn, but there's inato sign language, right? For people that are with hearing impairment in the rural areas, they don't have access to what sign language really is, so they have inato sign language. But there is a clear distinction between mocking and the inato sign language. So definitely mocking with your hands and mocking their facial expression, because they're very expressive with their facial expression, because it's part of the sign language. You cannot be just signing with your hand without the facial expression. The facial expression, it's very important.
Yeah, it makes up for what's lacking.
Yes. So I definitely see a lot of people mocking in that sense, which of course we should avoid. And another thing is we have this what we call first person policy. So you state who the person is. She's a classmate, an individual with hearing impairment, not deaf individual. So person first. You recognize that that person, that individual is someone beyond her disability. So you state the person first, an individual with hearing impairment, visual impairment, so on and so forth.
So at least we're learning things for that. Yeah, because admit it or not, it's one of the things. I would say that maybe that's the fifth on my list: religion, politics, health, fitness, and maybe disabilities. It's like we just learned to live with them, and then basically, I've seen horror stories now on the internet just recently, earlier this morning, about a parent who had a sister and a son. It's a horror story basically on Facebook. So what happened? So this woman, her sister has disabilities. Her son is on the spectrum, and then they have IDs. Now they parked on the PWD parking. Now, they were asked to move, just because the son's the son's disability wasn't
Physical.
Yes. The sister's disability wasn't physical as well, because a part of her foot is basically she was it was removed. So basically she's still wearing her shoes, but she needs assistance. So meaning when we don't see whatever disability a person has, let's just say for our people with hearing disabilities, we don't really get to see it first time. Now you can't say na Obeya has hearing disabilities because she's just perfect. And then some of us would have this thing that you don't look like you're disabled or something like that. And I think we just learn to live with them, but we're not really fully accepting of these things.
We're tolerating that. And I guess the problem is that they need more space for persons with disabilities in the parking lot. Of course, they only allot one spot.
Yes.
And there's going to be more than one that will go to a mall. So I guess that's a problem as well. We're lacking the accessibility on their part. But I feel like there's a lot of persons with disabilities who look normal.
Exactly.
Persons with disabilities, they go beyond just physical impairment and even visual impairment, hearing impairment. you can be considered a person with disability if you have mental health problems or if you have an autoimmune disease. And these people, they look similar to us. You can never kind of distinct them from a person with disability unless you talk to them, you get to know their medical records. But there's a lot of us, I know people with who have IDs that they qualify as persons with disabilities, but they don't look like it. And I guess that's something that we should be mindful of when we're interacting. And I guess there shouldn't be discrimination. Of course, if you feel like there's someone that's better for that parking lot, then you should just communicate instead of full on discriminating. But I don't know the full story.
So, Bea, okay, well, thank you. It's nice that we got to talk about, things that people would usually try to shy away from, which is disabilities. And we would hope that, hopefully soon, maybe in the next episode, when you're a certified teacher for special, children with special needs, you can also share with your knowledge with us regarding that. But this time, let's focus and let's go back to what Bea is here for, which is basically our fitness advocate, a very young fitness advocate.
Baby.
So,
Fitness ad.
Bea, let me ask, because again, sometimes when people see you, because you only get to see the muscles if we really wanted to show it, right? But if regular clothes, which is how you would usually see me, people wouldn't even know
That you lift.
that I lift. So, what are people's impressions every time they would find out that you're a gym girl or a fitness advocate?
Honestly, people they aren't really surprised. I feel like it really shows. Maybe it shows as my appeal says I lift. But before, definitely when I was starting working out, they wouldn't believe it because I look thinner, of course. You would only know that I lift if you see me in the gym lifting, and then they would be seeing that, damn, this girl's strong. But before, when I was just starting to gain muscle, definitely people do not believe that I lift nor that I go to the gym. They say I'm just physically blessed, genetically blessed. But no, I put in the work.
That's right. And people, I'm sure you've heard this story before, wherein they would say, "Na, why are you going to the gym? You're thin, basically." Million times, yes.
Well, it's not about being thin. The thing is, when you are in the gym, your perception shifts, your mindset changes. It's no longer about being thin. Once you get in the gym, you lift that weight. As time progresses, you just want to be stronger, and you just want to add more plates into that weight you're lifting. So when you're in the gym, again, I would say this a million times, your perceptions will change. It's not about being thin anymore. It's not about being slim anymore. It's your goals are going to be functional, and they're going to be more about wanting to be strong, and most importantly, wanting to feel good on your own body, despite what society says how you should look.
How would you like entice them to go back to the gym, or maybe at least start moving their bodies in different ways?
Well, the basic form of movement that you can do is walking. Walking goes a long way. But just like me getting into running, you'll get bored. So eventually, again, you'll just look for something that's going to challenge your body more. And that's just, I feel like, human fact. I feel like we're all just chasing for something better and better as long as you start the momentum to do it. So get your body to move and to crave movement. And then the momentum will just push you to look for something that's going to challenge your body more. So definitely start with the least type of movement that you can do. May it be just standing up and down when you're sitting. Start with the most basic movement if you really don't have the motivation, if you really don't have the discipline, and let the momentum build.
So let's say Kuya Ayan went back to the gym. What would be the first type of routine that you're gonna give him as a starter?
Because Kuya Ayan is male, of course we would start with push-ups, basics. Push-ups, maybe some weighted squats. maybe some dance.
So, on, oo. So, the basics of the push-up, medyo nakakurat na naman ako sa basic ang push-up.
For my male.
Because you guys are still young, di ba, Bea? Usually when you're young, parang you get to abuse your body because you feel like it's gonna stay this way forever.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Bea and I talked about when we first met na one of the reasons why she is actually staying active and all is the longevity and basically, being able to move your body in the long term. So it doesn't stop at 40 wherein you cannot, I don't know, do certain activities anymore because your back is hurting or your
And
knees.
stop blaming the age.
Oh, that's
We should stop blaming the age for not being able to move your body the way it used to, because there are ways to prevent that. There are ways to keep your joints lubricated and basically avoid the consequences of aging. So it's not the age. Of course, there's an age factor.
yes.
Growing old, it's going to be, your bones are going to be more fragile, of course, but there are ways to not be injured as easily and to not to feel the consequences of aging that typically most people experience.
Kumbaga to lessen the damage.
All
There
are ways.
aging. Yes.
And there are people that can testify that there are people who are like 70 years old and they have muscles and they move, as I would say, as agile or more agile than 20-year-olds just because they kept their body moving. And most importantly, they continued to train their strength, which is very important. Lifting weights, strength training, I think it's very important for the joint. It is a recipe for longevity. And because they follow these things and feeding the body with nutritious food, they get to do the things that they love for as old as 90, 80, and maybe more.
Hopefully, we're crossing our fingers. So anyway, talking about age, Bea, because I mentioned quite a few times that you're a very young fitness advocate. Now, has it been a hindrance before, or have people, let's just say, underestimated you for being young, or maybe gave you the side eye, bombastic side eye, just because you are young?
Definitely. I feel like every time that I tell them that I'm a fitness coach, everyone's telling me that I'm too young for that. And I've definitely had some issues with some coworkers who have told me that I shouldn't be entitled to say this or do this because I'm too young and I'm in no place to say whatever I was saying. So I definitely got some side eye to that, but I feel like I've also received some compliments that they couldn't believe that someone as young as me would be into fitness and would be in the level of fitness that I am in. So there are I've received negative, as you said, side eyes from definitely senior coaches, but I've also received immense amount of compliments that is helping me to just move forward and to ignore the negative comments.
And speaking of side eye, so what are those? What are those beliefs about fitness that other trainers might actually, basically side eye you?
Well, first of all, I feel like are we talking about myths or are we talking about like common
Well, it can be myths. It can also be your personal belief on how people should do fitness.
That trainers might side eye for? Definitely going natural. I feel like everyone's just pushing people to buy protein powder, creatine powder, or pre-workout powder, and all these supplements. And that's what makes fitness expensive. And that's another myth. People think that fitness or getting into the gym or being active should be expensive. And there is some truth to that, but it doesn't have to be like the entire reality. So people and other coaches might side eye me for telling my clients that you don't need protein powder. You don't need creatine powder. You don't need a pre-workout drink. And for me, I feel like you really don't need all these things because everything you can get from supplements, you can get from Whole Foods. And that's a better source of nutrients. And the thing about protein powders, creatine powders, you cannot take them as long as you do not take it from Whole Foods because they're not going to be absorbed by the body and it's just going to damage your organs. So as much as possible, if you can't afford it or if you feel like you don't need to do it, you shouldn't because you can get all of the nutrients that a supplements could give from Whole Foods. And I'm basically free from that. I don't do protein powder. I don't do creatine powder, not even a pre-workout. I'm all natural and I'm advocating for that inexpensive and natural approach to fitness.
Well, yeah, it is a different, let's say, opinion or insight about fitness because, yes, people would actually push for it because basically of the convenience that it brings. So basically, let's say, for example, you have a busy day and you cannot eat the amount of protein that you need, or that's why basically supplements are more often than not an instant fix for whatever you're lacking. But then again, as she mentioned earlier, it gets expensive. We have the gym membership, we have outfits, believe it or not. I have friends before when I started working out who would wanna join as well, but they're just conscious about what they're gonna be wearing at the gym. So which is it's laughable in a way. But then again, you would understand it kasi they're conscious about their body. And the thing is, when you go to the gym, people do not care about how you look like because you're all there focusing on your own stuff.
True.
So, okay, so outfit, ayan. Duwag pa siya sa gasto. Now, supplements. So again, it's gonna be your personal preference if you want to do supplements. But as for Bea, she advocates for natural or just eating natural, basically foods, whole foods. To be able to basically get the necessary minerals, proteins, and stuff that you need when working out. You mentioned myth earlier. Now let's go to a gym myth or toxic trend that you'd love to cancel forever.
I feel like this has already been addressed. Like everyone on social media has already made a video about it, but I still hear it being brought up. And that's the fact that, I mean, it's the myth that if you lift, you'll get bulky.
God.
You lift, tell me if you'll get bulky, if it's that easy to be bulky.
Well, a year in the gym, I mean, for women, siguro the difference is for men and women, it's different. For men, I would say na yes, I've seen guys who have been in the same time with me at the gym, 6 months, 7, 8, you would see the difference na. Pas sila magdako. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they are doing supplements, but that's their own preference. No judgment at all. But for women, if it's a main concern for women who are wanting to go to the gym or basically become strong or lift, it takes a while.
It takes a while. And I feel like it is faster for men to grow muscles and to get bulky because they have a lot of testosterone. Of course, much more testosterone compared to a woman. Like this, and then this is for a woman. So it's really, it's not about gender, and you will not get bulky when you lift. It's going to take years to be big in the gym. Bodybuilders train for years and get into very strict diet just to be in that bulk or in that big type of physique. You're not going to growing muscles or gaining muscle does not mean that you're going to get bulky unless you eat in a calorie surplus. And even if you eat in a calorie surplus, it's not going to guarantee that you're going to get bigger. So it's not going to get you bigger. It's just going to make you strong. And strong doesn't mean bulky. Those words are not interchangeable. It's going to make you, of course, feel better about yourself. And of course, that's not interchangeable with bulky. So I hear that all the time from clients. They don't want to lift. They just want to do yoga. There's nothing wrong with doing yoga, but they put hate or they despise going to the gym because they say it's going to make them bulky. It's not going to make you bulky. I've been lifting for 4 years. I'm not bulky because it's going to take years and some intensive type of training, especially intensive type of discipline when it comes to nutrition to get bulky.
Yes, so that's true. So it's actually one of those.
Mhm.
Now, for men naman, what is a common concern or myth for men that you would hear? Let's just say not directly interact or relate with it,
Mhm.
but something that you would hear from male gym goers.
I feel like you said earlier that it's faster for men to grow muscles, but in fact, it's very genetic. Like there's genetics plays a role into that. There are men who go in the gym for years and they don't get bigger because you have to train a certain way. You really have to train a certain way, and according to your body type and the body that you have, in order to see progress. So I hear that all the time that men it's so easy for them to grow muscle, but it's actually not. Like growing muscle in that sense is difficult.
It can be based on genetics.
It can be based on genetics, not just with gender.
Okay. Another myth. I'm sure you've heard this on social media, and one of the reasons why men would be afraid to lift or go to the gym is nakakaliit daw ng t-shirt.
Yung t-shirts, genetic yon. So it's very genetic. Lifting weights will not shrink your t-shirt. It won't. And there are but it's a myth. That's a myth, of course. It doesn't mean that you're big and you have a lot of muscles that you have a small t-shirt. Your t-shirt size depends on your genetics. I feel like men who don't lift just say that as an excuse not to lift. Honestly, sorry. But yeah, men who don't lift just say that as an excuse so they wouldn't feel the need to lift. But that's definitely a myth.
Oo. Hindi, pero kasi di ba pag lumaki na yung katawan mo, lilit talaga yung t-shirt mo. So, bibili ka na ng Tetsuan.
Kasi sa proportion yun. Kasi yung yung t-shirt mo, pag lumaki ka na, para na siyang crop top, diba? So,
bibili ka na ng
sure. So, yeah. Wag ka magbili ng new one. Just keep your old t-shirt. Be confident with the t-shirt you were given.
Ay, nako. So, I'm sure there are a lot of fitness myths that you can, I mean, being on the internet, it's a black hole of myths and, things that people would believe in. I mean, they would even believe, there are like, I don't know, kapre. So, I mean, things on the internet, people believe things on the internet, fake news and stuff. So, let's talk about more fake news in the fitness industry naman, Bea. Like, other things na, let's just say people would stop going, or let's just say, going to the gym, specifically just because of that specific myth.
One thing that I like to address is that there are a lot of influencers in social media that they're going to tell you that they got this certain body for 6 months, 3 months, because I'm doing all these ab workouts, Russian twist for 30, just a 3-minute workout. And it gives people false hope that after 3 months of going to the gym, they're going to achieve the same body that influencer has. And once they get into that 3-month mark, they are basically discouraged because they didn't achieve the body that this influencer said that she achieved after 3 months. And the reality is, getting your dream body will take years in the building. But the thing is, time will just pass by anyway. So whether it is 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, that time is still gonna pass by. So might as well do the work and put in the work as much as you can, because it's still going to pass by, whether you do anything or not.
Mm.
So 3 months, there are, of course, progress that you can see in 3 months. There are definitely noticeable progresses that you can see in 3 months. But most importantly, the progress that you will see in that time frame will be internal. Like you feel better about your body, you feel more confident, and walking 3 flights of stairs doesn't tire you anymore. So it's definitely more functional. You feel like when you pick up a thing from the floor, it's easier for you, and walking doesn't seem to tire you, and work isn't so bad, and you feel more confident in your own skin. You feel better when you look at yourself in the mirror. So that's the type of progress that you will get in 3 months.
Mhm.
But drastic changes, losing like kilograms, 10 kilograms in 3 months, or being very thin in 3 months, and achieving a certain like curve of the body for 3 months, it's definitely, it's going to take a lot of powerful genetics. Of course, it's possible, but don't get discouraged when in 3 months you didn't achieve that, because the reality again is that your dream body is going to take years in the building. But again, time's gonna pass by, so might as well put in the work.
Just do it. Yeah, basically. And another thing is basically working out is just a part of
Yeah.
losing weight.
Mhm.
Your diet must also consist of it. Your sleep, basically your discipline
Yes.
as a person, it plays a big part. So even if you follow or you buy that influencers, you know, I don't know, workout
Yeah.
routine or something like that, and they promise in 3 months, it won't work out. Literally, pun intended as well. If you do not do the work out.
And here's the thing,
Mm.
muscle growth happens during the recovery.
Exactly.
And that's not a lot of people know that. They think that when they're doing the bicep curl, this is what's growing my muscle. No, but doing the bicep curl, it's tearing your muscle. And when you're recovering from it, that's when the muscle grows. So that's another thing that I want to address. People think that they have to train 6 times a week, 2 hours a day in the gym, so they could call themselves consistent. Consistency means that you're going despite the circumstances, that despite the schedule changes, you're still going anyway, and it doesn't discourage you whether your circumstance is in your favor or not. You don't have to train 6 times a week to see progress. The people that train 6 times a week are athletes. So if you're training for a bodybuilding competition, of course you're gonna want to train 6 times a week. But if you're just a normal person who wants to get fitter and wants to stay active, I would go far as to say that once a week of going to the gym is enough. As long as you move your body. I have a client and she's in the best shape of her life. She works 2 jobs. She works 2 jobs, one in the morning, one in the evening graveyard shift, Monday through Friday. So the only time she can work out is Saturday and Sunday. One might just rest during that Saturday, Sunday, but she chose to put in the work. And twice a week, even we just work. There are times when she's really tired. She wants to rest on a Saturday and just work out on a Sunday before another week starts. That's fine, as long as you move that body. And I would call her consistent, because despite her schedule, despite the circumstances, she shows up for herself. And working out is a commitment, and it's a date with yourself, and that you have to show up regardless of how many days a week that is. And if you can only do one, stick to that. And again, let the momentum build.
Influencers, they promote. Okay, I think you know what I'm gonna be saying. Slimming coffee, slimming tea, capsules and stuff. So what are your takes on it? Because I think it's also a thing that people still believe now.
Yes.
The fact that they are selling a lot of things. I mean, there was a time that I was, let's just say, I would call myself a victim because sometimes you would buy things because of certain beliefs that it would work for us. I mean, some might, but then again, more often than not, it's placebo effect, or
Yes.
basically it's just wasting money
Mhm.
on those kind of things. So, what are your thoughts about it?
Slimming coffee, slimming
Tea.
pills, also it's already proven that the main ingredient in those products are laxatives.
Exactly.
So it's not good for your body to be exposed with laxatives every single day, because then it would be dependent on that to release or to defecate. So I feel like the reason why people are still buying that, of course, like in your subconscious, of course you know that's bad for you. It's like magic, right? And it's impossible, and you know that on your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind, that it's it's impossible for you to be thin because of this coffee. So in the back of your mind, you know it's bad for you, but we still do it because people still buy into it because they want that instant fix. We keep talking about that. They want that instant fix, that because they're giving themselves a deadline, a timeline, that in 2 weeks' time I'm gonna go to the beach, so I gotta be thinner. And the problem is it works. The slimming teas, the slimming peels, it works. And that's why people buy into that. And I definitely know someone who told me, you should just drink this. This is my secret. That's why I have this tiny waist. I definitely heard someone say that in the gym. It's very common because they want that instant fix.
Yes, exactly.
They really want to to speed their way into their dream body. But again, you're just gonna have to put in the work because time is gonna pass by anyways. So might as well you have to do it the right way than to do it in the fast way and then compromise your health for it. It's not worth it. And you're just gonna go back into that cycle. It's going to damage your body. So eventually the consequence is that you're going to be damaging your body and you wouldn't be able to get it into its full potential. So I'm not hating on these because of course it can be helpful for you if you have a deadline, but definitely don't make this a habit. Just don't use it. Honestly, it's not good for your body.
And if it's, let's just say, it applies to everything, all encompassing, which is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
So if it promises in 2 weeks you're gonna be losing, I don't know, 10 kilos, which is too much, by the way.
Yeah. That's too much that your body can handle. It's not enough time for your body to adjust. So it's not worth it. It's better to approach fitness in a sustainable way. Something that you can actually see yourself doing in a very long time, because you should, because it's going into fitness, your mindset, again, I keep saying that it's going to shift from physical appearance. It's going to turn into something functional. So definitely do what works for you and do what makes you think that's going to help you sustain the habit for a very long time.
And talking about sustainability, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna react regarding this, Bea. You know, as Asians, we are ricivores. So rice is pretty much a staple. So people are saying, this is a myth, that I've heard before. Kanang rice. So ayaw na pag-rice. Para
Well, there are people who go without rice and they've made results. Good for them. But the thing is, carbohydrates, for someone who's like me, who trains really hard in the gym, it's a source of fuel. It is fuel. And the main thing that's going to grow fat is refined sugar. And refined sugar is everywhere. So there are rice, na ay mga rice, kana ay mga hidden sugars there. And that's why it makes you gain fat. But rice in itself, carbohydrates in itself, like the all non-carb diet, carbs in itself is not an enemy. It's a source of fuel. And you need that throughout your day so that your energy level is high. And you would notice if you go without rice, your energy levels would definitely be low because carbohydrates is a source of energy. And it shouldn't be considered as an enemy to fitness because it complements really well when you're working out.
So, your advice, if someone says na, ayaw na pag-rice, let's say you overhear it from a friend, telling another friend, what would be your approach na ganyan na? Kasi again, it is very much ingrained in our culture na rice. And then when you remove it, it's a struggle. I would say it's a struggle. It's not sustainable for me. It would always be part of my diet. Pero of course, ano na siya, controlled na siya.
You have free will, of course. If you don't if you think that going without rice is going to help you, of course you can do that. But I would say it wouldn't be sustainable. So if I overheard someone in the gym saying that to someone, I've heard that. I've heard another client saying another client, you shouldn't eat rice. My approach would be to ask them what's their goal. Because you couldn't judge unless you understand their goal. Because I've definitely tried to ask that, and their goal is to lose weight in 2 weeks because they have a wedding. So, of course, they're going without rice is going to help that for 2 weeks. So it really matters with what that person's goal is. But if your overall goal is to just be fit, you shouldn't fear eating rice. What you should cut off is refined sugar. And there's nothing wrong with indulging with your favorite sweets. I definitely don't think that you should cut them off completely. But that's something that you have to be aware of and to be mindful of. Be mindful of what you're feeding your body because refined sugar, it's more than just making you gain weight, gain fats. It's also going to damage your brain. It's going to damage your blood. So definitely watch out for refined sugar and make that the enemy, not the carbs.
Okay.
Here's the thing. If you remove all refined sugar in 3 months, you wouldn't just lose weight. Your skin will clear up. Because again, refined sugar, it's not just going to make you gain weight and gain fat. It's damaging your entire body, your skin, your brain functioning. So you would actually notice when you cut off sugar for 3 months that your brain functions well. But of course, there are sugar people who enjoy their sweet treats. I definitely do. So my main advocacy is to find balance in that, not cutting it off completely, but definitely knowing what your body wants, what your body needs, and acting accordingly to that. Definitely do what works for your body. So if Almond has worked for someone else, doesn't mean that you should do it. And I feel like for me, that couldn't work for someone like me that works really hard in the gym, works out, very active, and not just in the gym, also like with going to school, commuting, ganyan. It's not sustainable because one meal wouldn't give me the energy that I need to function as well as I could. So if you, as I said, if you have like a specific deadline, you have a wedding coming soon, something like that, it could work for you, especially if that what you think is going to help your body, but it's not going to be sustainable in the long run. And I feel like you couldn't do that for a very long time, that one day you're going to realize that it's just going to make you crave more. And that's very true to people who are restricting themselves. They restrict themselves to eat a certain carb, a certain sweet treat for like 1 month, and they get thinner. They get the results that they want, but then they gain weight again and even bigger than they were before. Why? Because your body was craving what you are not feeding it. And the more you crave, craving is a very strong feeling, and you're gonna cave into that. So you're going to go back to this bad habits if you restrict yourself and you get into this unsustainable approach to fitness. But once you get into a sustainable approach, finding balance, in being able to eat what you want and at the same time eat what your body needs, then you're going to be able to do this in the long run and see results that are beyond physical.
Yes. So basically, it builds discipline as well.
Uh-huh.
So if you can, I mean, it doesn't, ano naman, let's just say there's a saying. Let me teach you a saying. It's in Tagalog. Pag lalong nagpipigil, lalong nanggigigil. And I think it applies to all things. Now, if you stop yourself from doing something or eating something, as in, it would relapse. Basically, I think what you were talking about earlier is like relapse na. They try to stop themselves from doing something. Tapos, nag-relapse sila. So, that's what happened. So, do not stop yourself from doing certain things.
Yeah.
Eating certain things. Pwede naman tikim lang. You don't have to devour the whole cake. Sometimes, our mind tricks us na we have to finish the whole thing. Sometimes, titikim lang. Mas okay na yun.
There is the book I am reading that the more you just keep on disciplining yourself not to eat sugar for a very long time, you wouldn't crave it anymore. So that's possible. But for me, I wouldn't say that that's sustainable for me because I'm a sweet type of girly. We love the sweets. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with indulging that every once in a while. Just don't, again, devour the entire cake. Find balance. That's the most important thing. You would see that when you stop restricting yourself from eating a certain way or from eating a certain food, then you would find happiness in what you do. And that's more sustainable. And what makes something sustainable is when you're happy doing that. So if it doesn't make you happy to not eat sugar, of course you're not going to find joy in the process. And you're going to go back to your old ways. Find joy in the process. And the way to do that is to find balance. That's it.
That's right. And especially us Gen Zs. Charing lang. So, we still enjoy our sweet coffee, yes? With the whipped cream on top, with all those syrups. Ayun, na-enjoy pa namin yun. So I think coffee is one of the let's just say it's a sneaky way of putting sugar into your body kasi you're drinking it calorie-wise, sugar-wise because it's sweet. And, it satisfies certain cells in every bone in your body. So, for Gen Zs like Bea, like regarding sweet treats and sugar, like how do you because you're very fit, how do you keep it that way knowing na you are gonna give it eventually to those cravings? And coffee, how many times do you drink?
I never drink coffee.
Oh, but you're matcha girly, yes?
Matcha girly, there's caffeine in matcha, but I feel like it's more healthier caffeine, definitely.
But then again, there's sugar.
Yeah, I still eat cookies and stuff like that. Again, for me, it's definitely finding balance. What I find is the first thing that I eat in the morning is fiber because fiber is like a what do you call this? Like an armor, an armor in your tummy when you first eat it, and then it's going to help with your digestion. For me, start with eating fiber. The first thing that you put in your stomach in the first day, in the start of your day, should be fiber. And there's definitely should be more nutrients that you're eating. So more protein, more fiber, more carbs, and all these you should get from whole foods. So when you're taking this all off, like you feel like you've achieved all these 3 nutrients in a day, that's what I would say that is a go signal that I can eat my sweets and my sodiums because I also love like the chips.
Ayan, parang.
But yes, definitely. Of course, you shouldn't. It's bad for you to start your day with refined sugar. So start your day with fiber, protein, carbs, everything that's good for you. And once you've hit that right amount of nutrients that you need, then you can eat your sweets. Like that's what worked for me. If I don't get to eat my sweets if I don't get to eat my protein, carbs, and fiber. That's just my rule. And in that way, I kind of like I have a system in place that helps me get to enjoy both worlds.
Yeah. So, as you see, thank you, Bea, for sharing your insights about, food. This is a very holistic way of approaching fitness. So earlier we were talking about basically how, how do you make going to the gym sustainable? It doesn't have to be expensive. Now we're talking about food and dieting. And basically, yung way ni Bea is very simple. It all boils down to, your discipline and how you approach fitness in itself. Being a female fitness coach, like how do you want your clients to feel or see fitness after working out with you? Maybe after a session or a series of classes with you. So how is it different for the female fitness coach?
For me, being a female coach, and my clients are mostly female. I actually have rare clients that are male. But for me, it's really important to check in with their cycle. And that's very important. I've met clients, women clients, that have experienced male coaches before, and the male coaches does not have any sort of idea how the menstrual cycle works. And it influences how you train, how you lift in the gym, how you perform in the gym. It matters.
Yes.
So for me, it's very important to check in that, especially when we're trying to progress and to lift heavier. So I check in, what about their menstrual cycle? And for me, I have a very different approach to fitness. And as you would notice, I don't buy into the supplements. I don't cut off sweets. My approach to fitness, as I would call it, is sustainable for me because I get to enjoy both worlds and I get to find balance in that. And for me, that's more sustainable that way. I find joy that way. And I want my clients to experience the same way. I get a lot of questions like, Coach, kailangan ako i-cut akong carbs? I get a lot of questions that way. Coach, kailangan ako mag protein powder? And I'm not a certified nutritionist. I'm not an expert in when it comes to nutrition. So I actually, when it comes to my clients, when they ask me that, I can only guide you, but I cannot give you an exact meal plan and tell you what you should feed yourself. So for me, my approach to fitness, and I want my clients to experience this, is that they get to enjoy both worlds. If your goal is longevity, if your goal is long term, and you want to be able to do what you love for a very long time and lift as long as you like, then I don't think that you should cut off carbs. Of course, there's different types of goals. There are clients that their goal is to look fit in a wedding. Of course, there's going to be a different approach to that. And clients that are going to be preparing for a bikini competition, different, very different. But if your goal is for the long run, for longevity, and for basically doing all these things that you love for a very long time, then you shouldn't be restricting yourself. You shouldn't cut off anything, and you shouldn't be doing something that you wouldn't find joy in. So do what works for you. And for me, I don't advocate cutting off carbs, cutting off sweets, and cutting off all these foods that they say are going to be bad for you. Because if it makes you happy, then just find balance. And I'm not saying advocating that you should indulge in it, eat all the sweets that you want. No. But it's very important that you listen to your body, you understand your body, and you act accordingly to what it needs, first of all, and what it wants. And that for me is what's going to make fitness sustainable for you.
That's right. And it's nice that they actually mentioned that. I think some of the guys here, uh, you're not familiar with how a woman's cycle goes. It actually does affect our activities through the month. So sometimes ang mapapansin lang nila is the time na pag masungit, ayan na. They would sometimes tease us or sabihin, ay, like palayo diha kay kanang. Pero it affects the way we also approach fitness. And it's nice na, again, female coaches do understand it differently than the male coaches, which is nice. So I am happy that they actually mentioned that. And hopefully, some of the listeners and viewers of After Hours will also see na, you know what, I mean, that actually makes sense. Because some of them would be working with male coaches and they wouldn't, let's just say they're given a certain routine or a certain workout routine. Tapos, at specific times of the month, tatama rin sila because they don't know what's happening. Na, do I still need to follow these workouts, but my body's telling me no. So it's nice na Bea is opening up that basically that door na female coaches approach fitness and working out differently because they understand the female body.
For me, like lifting for years now, I've experienced lifting a certain weight very easily, and then after maybe 2 months I couldn't lift it anymore, and for years that has kind of damaged my self-confidence. I've dealt with doubt, and once I've understand my body more, I realized that it's actually because of the cycle. So there are certain cycles. I mean, there's certain phases in a month where we feel stronger and our energy levels are higher and we can lift more. And the weight just moves very smoothly. But there's another phase of the month, of the cycle, where everything feels heavier. And you should train accordingly to that. And that's why female coaches are important, because they understand that better than other coaches.
Okay, well, all right, well, let's going back. Now, what is your long-term plan with regards to your fitness advocacy? Because again, you are a graduating student, and eventually you'll become a teacher. So how will you mix in your fitness advocacy and then teaching? And I have a side question, but I want you to answer that first.
Okay. So basically, if you don't know, of course you don't know, but being a fitness coach, it is a lot. It's a people-pleasing job. So you have to deal with a lot of people, and you thrive in the validation of others. And for me, it hasn't been, it's not like a walk in the park. It's definitely hard for me. It's going to fuck up with your mental health. And this is something that I'm definitely not going to be doing for a long time, because I love teaching children. And that's something I actually just reloved or relearned how to. I just relearned my passion for children and for teaching children. And the thing about what I've observed with how we raise children in the Philippines is we basically give them phones a lot. So they're exposed to social media. They're exposed to all these games. In a very young age, they're exposed to radiation due to the gadgets. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, it doesn't, I'm not saying that you shouldn't give your children phones, especially when it comes to security. It's very important. But for me, physical activity, physical fitness should start very young. And that's something that I would like to kind of mix. Teaching children to be active at a very young age, because I feel like that's when athletes start to be athletes. From start to children.
Young, basically.
I definitely would wish that I started younger, because when I was young, I was in and out of the hospital. I was always in the hospital because I was easily sick. I was easily sick, even up to this day. And I didn't get to play around outside, which is very sad. And I don't do well with sports. My high school classmates would definitely agree to that. Volleyball, here in the face. I don't have hand-eye coordination. So I grew up very sedentary, in a very sedentary lifestyle. So that's something that I wouldn't want the future generation to experience. And I would definitely don't want them to be exposed to social media in a very young age. There are horror stories of how social media is bad for children. And we could dig deep into that, but I don't think we should. But there are horror stories of how social media can affect children, and they shouldn't be exposed to that in a very young age. And that's why instead of giving them phones so that you wouldn't have to deal with them, might as well get them into a physical activity. And I know that a lot of parents are already doing that. And that's something that I would definitely want more people to know and more people to do. So that's something on my vision in the future. Definitely mix fitness with my passion into teaching children.
So basically, marry both. Marry both the teaching part. Of children with special needs, or even those with children in general, and then the fitness advocacy.
Yeah.
Like, so if money was not an issue at all, so that's what is one thing that you would do?
I would definitely would have a school of curricular activities. That's something in my vision. I actually don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx it. And people in the audience might steal that idea. Please don't. That's Bea's idea. But I would definitely want a school for curricular activities where I would be associated with academic schools, academic institutions, and basically children get to choose what kind of extracurricular activities they want. And these would be mostly physical activities. So that's definitely something for the future. Please don't steal that idea. Kindly.
Basically collab with schools or let's say associations that are already doing it.
Yes.
And maybe we can improve it or innovate better things to make it better. Yes. So Bea, okay, well, our one of our secret questions, it's a myth that we found on the internet. Some of you might not be familiar with it, but they say that gym girls are sexually active girls. Or let's just say horny. Let's just put the word out there.
It's the hormones. And that's true. That's true. I have clients who tell me, Coach, ever since I worked out, I am very thirsty for my husband. I definitely get that a lot. And that's a good thing. Especially if you are in a relationship, I feel like that spices up the relationship. And it's very important for both parties in a relationship to be physically active because there are people who would testify that it leads to a better sex life. And I'm not saying that a sex life in a relationship is very important, but I feel like it is.
It's part of it. It's part of
it. Because if you cannot, you're going to be with this person for a very long time. And if you're going to be with that person for a very long time, might as well get them good.
I'm getting mixed reactions from the boys. There's one is there's here,
but definitely both parties being physically active is going to spice up the relationship because there's more. First of all, you're going to be doing the same thing. So you're going to be spending more time with each other and you're going to learn the same principles. You're going to have the same mindset and you're gonna be physically attractive with each other, which is going to eventually lead to a better sex life. And if you're going to be with this person for a very long time, it's a factor that you need to have for a relationship to work. I know it's very like, whoa, 21-year-olds saying this. I know it's too much, but it is. I feel like there's a factor like being sexually attractive to a person is a very important factor.
Let's just say if they're in the beginning of their fitness journey or they want to go back, let's just say, what is one thing that you would want to share with them?
Well, I'm someone that is really, it's really important for me to do the things I love in a very long time. I keep saying that because longevity for me is very important. I would like to live until the world ends, until the world gives up on me,
Until the zombies.
un- until all the zombies are, everyone's a zombie. I want to live through that. And I want my future I don't want my future children to take care of me when I'm old. I don't want them to feel like they need to stay with me. I want to be able to take care of myself. And if I have a husband, take care of him, take care of each other. And for me, that's why for me, longevity, I keep saying that because it's what I strive for. I I strive to live as long as I can in the best way possible because the as Thich Nhat Hanh would say, the miracle is walking on earth. The kingdom of God is here. And there's a lot to see in this beautiful place. And I want to get to see all that. And you cannot do it when
You're bedridden.
Yes. And everything is so important. Your work, your relationship, what people think about you, it's all important. But once you're sick in your bed, you're bedridden, you can't do anything, suddenly you just want to walk again.
Mm.
And it's important to be grateful for the body that you're given because you're able to do that without even trying that hard. You get to walk, you get to speak, you get to talk with the people that you love, you get to do things that you love. And that's why you have to pay gratitude to your body by moving it and by keeping it as young as possible and by allowing it to do the things that it loves for a very long time, as long as you'd like. And the way to do that is to train. I have this big four. I keep telling my clients, and this is the big four for longevity. Number one would be strength. Muscle is the organ for longevity. If you want to live very long, you need to gain muscle, gain strength. Number two is flexibility. Your strength is going to be limited by your mobility. If you cannot squat deep, if you cannot move through all ranges of motion, it's going to hinder your strength. So flexibility / mobility is very important. Third would be endurance, just in case it is possible for a zombie apocalypse. Yes, but endurance is very important. Your cardiovascular health is very important. Also, muscular endurance is very important. Again, we're talking about doing something for a very long time. So endurance has to be one of the aspects of your training. And lastly, I feel like this is the something that's never trained or rarely trained is balance. Being able to stand with one feet, being able to balance your body. That's part of my big four formulas, recipes for longevity. And if you train all four of these, you don't have to worry about your children taking care of you or being bedridden. Of course, there's going to be different factors like genetics and health. That's different. But these four trainings, training your strength, flexibility and mobility, endurance and balance, this is all in your control.
Yes.
And as much as possible, you should work on that. If you, of course, want the beauty of longevity, which I keep saying.
That's right. Thank you so much, Bea. And again, I mean the repeating thing about all the things that we've discussed from the very beginning is first is it all boils down to discipline. Second is age is just a number. I mean it is a number. But age is just a number, especially if you take care of yourself. And when it comes to age, Bea has proven that, age again is just a number. Though she is very young, she has proven that, she can do a lot of things, even as a young fitness advocate. So I want to thank you, Bea, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Here at After Hours. And again, this might not be the last time that we would see Bea, as, she has a lot of things in store for us. Again, in a year or so, you're going to be a special needs teacher. And, she might actually join us. All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. So hopefully You can join us again for the next episode of After Hours. So again, thank you so much, Bea, our fitness advocate, and please do join us again for the next episode. So again, this is Sahara, your host for After Hours, and we'll see you again next time.